Hey folks, I'm Dennis. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to do an oil change on a 2018 Ford F-150 5-liter. This is a 4-wheel drive truck. Process will be the same for a 2-wheel drive truck. Let's get started. Alright, you're going to need a drain pan. You're going to need a filter to fit this truck, and I'll leave links below on what filters to get. You're going to need a funnel, probably a couple of oil rags. You might need a set of pliers. It's a toolless oil drain plug, but you might, depending on whether you can get your hands on there and your strength and whatnot, you might need a pair of pliers to turn it. This truck with the 5.0 liter engine takes 8.8 quarts of oil. This truck calls for 5W20. I've got 2 5-quart jugs, and I'll leave links below for that also. You also may need an oil filter wrench to get the old filter off. Sometimes you can get them off with your hand, sometimes you need a filter wrench. So I recommend using a set of ramps, like Rhino ramps like these, or jacking it up and putting jack stands under it to give yourself enough room to work. They set high enough where you can do it without lifting the truck, but it's just a lot easier if you've got them up on ramps. Next, you want to pop the hood. So the hood latch is right here. You just pull it out just inside the driver's door. Right here under the hood will pop up, give you a gap right here. Just to the driver's side of center, there's a lever that's on the bottom that's going to pull toward the center of the truck. You pull that over and it lifts up. And here you can see that lever, it's right there. It just pulls over this way. Now, I'm 6 feet tall. With the truck up on ramps, I still have to use a little 2-step step ladder. So you're probably going to want a step stool or a small step ladder, something like that. Here's where your oil goes in. That's your oil filler cap. I usually go ahead and take that off. And then over here on the driver's side, right there is the yellow, is the dipstick. So I pull that out and just kind of leave it. Okay, so this is looking from, I'm just under the driver's door, and I'm looking toward the front of the truck. The front of the truck is this way. This is the oil pan, and the oil drain plug is right here, right there. It's a yellow plug. I'll get a better angle when I open it up, but that's the one you're looking for. You're further back here, that's the transmission pan, which is much bigger. Then coming toward the front of the engine, you've got the sway bar, and here, and you've got the oil pan, and then you've got the cross member. So that'll kind of help you get your bearings. And like I say, right here is the oil drain plug. This is a toolless drain plug. You might have to use a pair of pliers if you can't turn it. They don't give you a lot of room. If you can't get your hand in there to get it, take you a pair of pliers. I don't know if you can see this. And let's see if I can get you a decent angle. Yeah. And just catch hold of that handle and turn it a little bit so you can get it started. Then you can go ahead and get that out. It's really difficult to get your hand in there without getting oil all over the place. And once you get it like that, there you go. Now you can drain your oil. And it will come out like nobody's business, as you can see, all over that sway bar. It'd be nice if they'd put a 90-degree downturn or something on that, but anyway, that's how it does. You might be able to get yours to drain a little bit slower if you just ease the plug out, maybe. And once it gets down to where it's all drained out, or a little trickle, I don't mind if it's just a little small trickle. And you just get it and turn it back in there. And then I'm going to wipe all this off with an oil rag. So alright, so you can see that's all. I basically just wiped all that up with an oil rag. and made sure that the plug was fully seated by turning it clockwise till it's tight. And there's a couple of little tabs on the side of that plug. I'm not sure if you can see them. There's a detente or a slot for those tabs to fit into. Once you tighten it up and those tabs are into the slot, you'll know it's all the way tight. Next, we're going to come up to the front. All right, now we're up at the front. We're looking from the driver's side toward the passenger side. This is the front cross member of the frame, right here. These are extra horns that I've added on mine, so just ignore that. That's not going to be on most people's truck. And then right up in here is the oil filter. So there's this is a cross member. This is on the driver's side. We're looking toward the rear of the truck. There's your oil filter. You gotta get it, turn it counterclockwise to loosen it. You might be able to do it by hand. You might have to use a filter wrench. When it comes off, right here is where the oil is going to drain. This is a little plastic pan that's under the oil filter. The oil is going to drain out and run out of here and then drip down. So you want to have your catch pan right below this spout. If your truck is on flat ground, you're going to use that front spout that I showed you up toward the front of the engine. If your truck is on ramps, there is a spout right there in the back behind the cross member, right in front of the differential. So if you're up on ramps or you got the front jacked up, it's going to use that spout right there. That rectangular opening, that's the rear spout. Depends on whether your truck is on ramps or not, or the front end's jacked up or not, which spout you use. You can use the front or the back. I wish they'd have done that on the oil plug. It would have made it easier to have a little catch spout, but they didn't, so is what it is. But this will make it easier for to get your filter off. And then you're going to take your new filter and of course put it on there and tighten it clockwise. I'm going to show you this the best I can with the camera angle. It may not be real visible, but I'll do the best I can. So there's the oil filter. If you can't get it off by hand, you got to use a filter wrench, because whoever did it last time put it on way too tight. That one's on way too tight. All right, so take it off. What'll happen is oil will drain out and it'll come down the chute, drain into your oil pan. So make sure you got your drain pan lined up properly. So you go ahead and take your filter off, tip it up vertically. I'll let all that continue to drain, and then same thing as with the oil pan, I'll wipe all that up where it's draining from behind the cross member. All right, so next I'll take my new filter. I'll leave links below what filters you can use. I'm gonna take my finger and I'm gonna dip it in the old oil and just get a little bit on my fingertip. And then take your new filter and smear it around that seal. Now a lot of people are going to argue and say you got to use new oil. No, you don't. It doesn't matter. This oil is never going to get in your engine, number one. Secondly, there's way more than 2 drops of oil left in your oil pan that's dirty oil. It makes 0 difference at all. You can use old oil. It's much easier. You don't have to go get your new oil out and get your finger in it. What this oil is for is to keep this gasket, this rubber gasket, from seizing onto the block. So it just makes it probably helps a seal, but it keeps it from seizing up with time and heat. So Keep that clean, don't let it hit anything else, and then we're going to thread that new oil filter back up onto the stud. So if you need to, kind of get up there and feel your way, figure out exactly where you're going with it. Take your filter, put it up there and get him threaded, and then turn it on. And then to keep it from being so hard to get off the next time, like some of these shops do, they like to over tighten them. Once you feel that gasket contact the block, give that filter another half a turn, and that's it. That's all you got to do. It'll be playing tight, it won't leak, and you won't have so much trouble getting it off next time. Now we're done underneath. All right, so I've got, what I like to use with this one is a longer spout that's slanted on one end, so I can put it in the oil fill hole and catch it like that without making a mess. I'm gonna have to set the camera down, but that's how I do it. Of course, take your funnel out. Don't drop your oil filler cap. Before, I should have mentioned this, but when you get started, before you take your oil filler cap out, if it's grimy or cruddy around it, wipe it off real good. If it's not, when you take it out, go ahead and wipe it off to make sure that the O-ring on it is still in good shape. Make sure there's no crud on it, and then just put it back in. I'll turn it clockwise to tighten. Next, we're going to start the truck, let it run for long enough to let the oil pressure come up, usually 30 seconds to a minute, that's enough. While it's running, you want to look underneath near where your oil pan drain is and your oil filter drain spouts are, whichever one you're looking at. Make sure you don't have any drips while the engine's running. That'll tell you if you got a leak or not. So no leaks, no drips. Next we're going to take the dipstick out, wipe it off. Okay, so there's your dipstick. You got the bottom hole and the top hole. The top hole indicates full, the bottom hole indicates 1 quart low. So the goal is, when you're done, is to be kind of right on that top mark. A little bit less is better than a little bit over. You don't want to overfill it, because then you'll have too much oil in the engine that causes other problems. So, but you want it to be full. If you check your oil in between oil changes and you're somewhere in between, you're probably all right. But this bottom hole indicates quart low. If you forget where the dipstick goes, when you look back down in there, it's marked with yellow. It's a yellow grommet kind of in the hole. Push it all the way down until it stops, and then pull it back out. So you check that, make sure that you're up to that top mark. As long as you are, you're fine. If not, top it off a little bit until you are. If you measure your oil out pretty precisely, it ought to be right on the money. All right, last thing we got to do is reset the oil reminder. So start the truck. So take the arrows on the left side of your steering wheel and use the right arrow to go over to settings. If it doesn't start on advanced settings, go down to advanced settings, hit OK. Hit OK for vehicle, and use your down arrow to hit oil life reset. Hit OK. And then you hold down OK to reset it 100%. So now your oil change light, your reminder will go off. Thanks for watching, folks. Give me a thumbs up if you would. Subscribe below, and hope to see you back soon. Thank you. Take care. God bless you.